Wow.
Mr. and Mrs. Hawk, I'm proud to announce you have a beautiful baby boy.
Aw, he's so beautiful.
Oh, he's adorable. Look at the arms on him. Just like his father, he's going to be an arm wrestling champion.
Have you guys decided on a name yet?
We're going to go with Mike. That was my dad's name.
Are you sure about that? Because I think that almost kind of sounds like...
Look, I said his name is Mike after my father. I'll arm wrestle you for it if you want. I'll arm wrestle everybody here.
Oh, all right. Okay. If that's, what you guys are happy with and you think that's good, okay. Welcome to the world here, Mike Hawk.
I'm a baby. When?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Times with Bad Movies. I am Tim Morrison, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, the arm wrestling trucker from Ontario, Paul Ireland. Paul, how you doing?
Really good, Tim. Ready to go over the top today. That's for sure. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. I'm really happy to be over that puppet movie and on to something much more fun.
Actually, you know what? Before we go any further, Tim, I forgot to ask you. How was the Coldplay concert? What'd you think?
I skipped. I didn't go. This week, we are over the top because we are doing the movie called Over the Top from 1987, starring Sylvester Stallone and distributed by Warner Brothers Studios.
That is right, Tim. That is right. And you know what? I remember, again, this is another one of these movies just right in a row here. When we first started the podcast, that you came to me and you were like, there's this movie called Over the Top where Sylvester Stallone arm wrestles. And I have never, ever seen that movie up until this point. I never even heard of that movie. And I was like, this sounds amazing. And I just decided that I would never, ever watch it until we got up until this point. And I've watched it now, and I don't want to spoil anything, but that made for this podcast. This is an amazing movie.
Oh, yes. I'm glad it finally arrived because this movie is great. This is a lot of fun. I'm really excited to talk about it because, yeah, like I said, we did Puppets last time, but this one, really, we can't go wrong with these Sylvester Stallone movies. Like some of these weird things, like this one's, so I should actually, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, for anybody who hasn't seen this movie, I've got a quick premise for you. Tough trucker Lincoln Hawk is determined to win back his son and also win a championship in arm wrestling.
That's right, Tim. We're going now far beyond the sparkling rhinestone for Sylvester Stallone here. And he's a bit of a hardened trucker and an absentee father in this movie. And I guess an arm wrestler, which is amazing. And he's just going to drive across the country arm wrestling.
Yes. Arm wrestling men that are 4 times the size of him.
And then, yeah, we I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but this is an amazing movie. I know, I don't want to give my thoughts on this too much, but this is one of those movies that's like, again, people, if you're listening to this, you're watching this right now, this is a bit of a break for all of us here, okay? This is not people jumping off of bridges, okay? This is not weird puppet sex or night killers or anything like that. This is just a nice movie for the most part.
There's a lot of wholesome intentions in here.
Yeah, this is a really great movie, I think. And I think a lot of people really just enjoy just having a nice, fun watch. And that's what I'm noticing with these Sylvester Stallone movies. More than anything, these are just really fun to do.
I watched Rambo for the very first time like a couple nights ago.
Really? What'd you think?
I really enjoyed watching it. I mean, it was only 90 minutes, so I didn't really feel betrayed by the end of it, like I wasted my time. It was ridiculous. I can't believe that the whole movie is just centered around him killing cops. But it was fun. I'm probably going to watch the rest of them now. And then I watched this movie yesterday. And I enjoyed it just as much, if not more. I think I like this more than Rambo.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm like, after watching this, I'm just on a Stallone kick right now, too. I'm just like watching Demolition Man. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just going through right now.
Demolition Man is so good.
So I just really enjoyed a lot of Sylvester Stallone here. So I hope everyone else is going to enjoy it. So I think we're kind of rambling a bit. Maybe we should just dive right into this. What do you think, Tim?
All right, let's get a firm grip on this and pump this episode out.
All right, let's go.
Grab my hand. Let's start the episode.
So this episode begins kind of like in the outback country roads with a trucker. A trucker. It's Sylvester Stallone. He is the truck driver. He's the trucker driving this big red truck. And we get this music. What's the song called, Paul?
In This Country, Tim.
In This Country. It's basically your typical I love America, God bless me, I'm free, and I love my truck.
To me, I kind of hear this song as like a redemption song personally. That's what I hear this as.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that it's a bad song necessarily. I just think it sounds like very typical. Like I'm sure he used the phrase like I'm free, I'm driving the road, and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. We got the American flag and some another scene here where there's a graduation going on. I don't know if these are air cadets. Is there some kind of cadets, like a military school of some kind?
It's called Summit Crest Military Academy. And it looks like it's some sort of military private school, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, we see this. There's a lot of kids graduating, I guess. I'm not sure what kind of graduation this is because these kids are pretty young, in my opinion. There's one kid that they're focusing on, and his name is Mikey. Mike?
Okay. Yeah, okay. His name is Michael, okay? I think they call him Michael Cutler in this whole thing.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Maybe we might as well just get right into it right now. So Sylvester Stallone plays a trucker whose name is Lincoln Hawk, okay? Everyone in this movie calls him Hawk, though, all right? Lincoln Hawk is the father of this kid who is at the school, whose name is Michael Cutler, okay? Technically, I don't know how it works in this movie. Maybe they had this kid's name changed or whatever. But I feel like when when you have a kid, usually the tradition is they're named after the father. They give the father's last name.
I think that's generally. I think that's generally if they're married, if their parents are married.
Well, his ex-wife that we're going to meet later on, we'll find out her last name is Hawk as well too. So she's got the last name Hawk. So to me, this kid's name should be Hawk. His last name should be Hawk. Okay. The only reason I'm saying this, folks, and I'm making a big deal out of this, is his name is Michael. Okay. His name is Michael Hawk, which doesn't sound like anything, okay? But Sylvester Stallone in this movie calls him Mike. His name is Mike Hawk. This is a movie for kids, and his name is Mike Hawk.
I didn't even clue into that at all. That's
When I had a realization of that, I was sitting in bed last night, Tim. I tell you, it's not a word of a lie. I shot up like a bolt of lightning at 11:30 at night. I ran upstairs, folks. In the middle of the night in my underwear, I turned on my light and I wrote this down. His name is Mike Hawk.
That's like surname Hunt.
Yes.
And Mike Hunt.
Yes, it doesn't work. You don't want to name your kid that.
Okay, well that's okay. So that's why I think that's a safe reason there why he didn't take his father's last name.
I think he got teased at school.
Yeah, he probably did. Maybe that's why why he's in a private school. I wanted to get away from this guy. Yeah, that's hilarious. I didn't even clue into that.
I don't think they did either.
I had no idea where you were going with that.
Sorry, you know what this is like, Tim? Sometimes these rants, it's like just letting a balloon go. You don't know where it's going, okay? Just goes, it starts, and it just ends up somewhere.
Huh. No, that was great. Well, thank you for that. I enjoyed that. Maybe
No
that's
problem.
for
No, anyways, so Sylvester Stallone is going down to see his son, Mike Hawk, at the military academy.
Mike Hawk is graduating.
He did. Top of the class. Mike Hawk. Top marks.
Okay, we gotta get back on track. So yeah, Sylvester Stallone, Lincoln Hawk here is showing up to the graduation, and clearly he's late, and he's showing up. He's dressed really nice because I guess it's a surprise to his son that he's going to drive him home to see his mom. Because his mom is having a surgery for a few days, and this particular run that Lincoln Hawk is going on will last a few days. So he shows up out of nowhere, and we find out that his son, Mike, has not seen his father in 10 years, a decade, because his father just left. I don't know if we'll find out later on. But anyways, his father just left. So Mike here is justifiably upset because I don't think Paul. This kid isn't any more than he's that 13 years old at the most. Like I would guess that he might be like 10 years old. He's not a high school graduate.
No, I'm guessing he probably graduated like, you know, when you have a grade 8, whatever you call it, your junior high. So that's maybe what he is. So whatever you are in grade 8, however old that is, 14.
Yeah, maybe. My point is that he probably barely even remembers his father. Like he's been gone his whole entire life. Now he just shows up out of nowhere and he's going to take him in his truck. So his son here is very reluctant to go with his father, but he has no choice because his mother phoned the supervisor or teacher, headmaster, whatever of this academy school, this cadet school, and told him that he has to go. He does not have a choice in the matter. So he's getting in the truck, and we find out really quickly that Michael really looks down on his father, not just because he ran off a long time ago, but because he's a trucker. And he's just not as sophisticated as what Michael would expect someone to be. Michael seems to come from a very affluent family. His grandfather's quite wealthy and also has a share on the committee or something like that. So anyways, yeah, Michael has his nose turned up pretty high.
Yeah, you know, Tim, like he really seems to give Sylvester Stallone a hard time in this movie. And I guess, to be fair, his dad's been an absentee father his entire life. So, you know, you're gonna go in with your guard up anyways, right? So like I could see you being resentful and especially being a child, you know. And I don't even know what the circumstances would be with Sylvester Stallone. You know, this guy coming out of nowhere just kind of mumbling, like, "Hey, I'm your dad, kid." And you're like, "What?" He's like, "Get in my truck." You're like, "No, I don't think so." And I thought it was kind of funny too, because you're right. To even just to go towards how much of not like how harsh he is being on his dad. At one point they're like, "Hey, like this is your dad. Like you gotta go with him." And he's like, "Let me see your ID." And then the best part is Stallone doesn't even like, "Here's my license, kid. You're my cog." He's like, he doesn't say that. What he does is he pulls out a big envelope and it's like a wedding picture from the 80s of Stallone and his wife, like they're like gonna cut a cake or something.
Hey, this is your proof. It's a picture of me on the wedding day with your mom. I am your father. This guy in the picture looks just like me. I'm your father. You're my cock. Let's go. Let's go get in my truck. We're gonna go drive.
And his kid starts harping on him. He's like, "You have no books in here." It's like, okay, he's driving a truck. His job is being a truck driver. Would you expect him to have tons of books laying around?
And before we leave the academy here too, I just want to mention that, and you kind of touched upon it, his mom is going to be in the hospital. Okay. First of all, we've never met his mom so far in this. Right now, I just want to let you know we're about 8.5 minutes collectively into this movie. We've never seen his mom. We've never heard from his mom. We just know that he has a mom. Okay. No one's really referenced his mom other than this principal guy who's there, who's just like, "This is your dad. And your mom said you got to go with him." That's been it. Then when he's about to go in the truck, then he's like, "Yeah, your mom's in surgery. We'll be there Wednesday." And that's all you hear. And then they get in the truck. Okay. So that's all you know, that he has a mom apparently, and she's in some mystery surgery, and they'll get there Wednesday, which we don't even know what day it is. And apparently they're like, maybe it's 2-3 days. So already, this is very sketchy details that were going on here.
Well, it seems like if he didn't know any better, he could be a kidnapper. He could just got some random girl that could call in and pretend to be his mother and be like, "Hey, I'm here to pick you up. Your mother called and told me, right?"
So as we're about to set off in this sort of cross-country adventure with Sylvester Stallone and this maybe 13, 14-year-old kid in a military outfit, I just want to highlight how Sylvester Stallone acts with this kid. Like, it's almost like Sylvester Stallone and a Make-A-Wish Foundation kind of person. They're like, "Who do you want to meet?" And they're like, "Can I meet Sylvester Stallone?" And they're like, "Okay, we've got him to drive in a truck with you for like 3 days." And that's pretty much what happens in this movie. We're going to see like some of the lines in this. I can't wait to go over it. It's amazing.
Literally just a few minutes into this trip, his son Mikey says that he is sick. He needs to pull over right away. So his dad pulls over. Mikey gets out of the car and like bolts it across this freeway and nearly gets hit by several cars. And Sylvester Stallone is, out there chasing after him and scoops him up and brings him back and forces him back into the truck.
Well, you crazy? Get off the road, kid.
You gotta stay in the truck. You're gonna get hit by a truck if you get out of the truck.
I applaud any man who has maybe been an absentee father that wants to make a difference. I think that's great, especially if your son or daughter is willing to make a reconnection with you. And This kid doesn't have a choice in this situation, and Sylvester Stallone here, Lincoln Hawk, he wants to make the best of it. So, after a few minutes of driving, they stop at a bar. they stop at a grimy, dingy, very rough and tough country bar.
What I think this is a truck stop, because this guy comes out and he sort of signs a little piece of paper with him, and then he's like, yeah, right, and he's like, yeah, and then so he goes inside. So I think this is somewhere where maybe you charge a battery on your truck or something. I'm not a trucker, don't know truck stuff, but I think that's what's going on here. But even still, this is a really sketchy truck stop that you should not be taking a kid to. You should know as a trucker, like, this place right here is a little rough.
The only female in this place is the bartender, and she looks tough herself. But, however, everybody in here looks like they've been around the block many, 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 many times.
Yeah, there's some sketchy people in here. There's like a bunch of rusty people. And this one guy in the back here who I thought kind of looked like Diamond Dallas Page and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Yeah, this guy's massive. This dude is.
Yeah, he towers over Sylvester Stallone.
His name is Smasher, okay? So this big guy comes up out of nowhere now, and he just decides to challenge Sylvester Stallone to an arm wrestling match. And this whole thing is really weird to me, because this guy Smasher, he says that he's heard about this guy Hawk out there, I guess on the road or on the circuit or something like that, and that he's some tough guy to beat. So is there this arm wrestling league of truckers or something, or is it just these guys, they drive around in trucks and they just have bets and they arm wrestle each other?
I'm not sure. So I wasn't even sure if he was an actual trucker, to be honest. Is he moonlighting as a trucker, and like he's just a professional underground arm wrestler?
Well, he's got a Canadian arm wrestling shirt on, right? So he's in some sort of arm wrestling league, it seems like. And we're gonna find out pretty quickly here in a few minutes that there's like an arm wrestling competition in Vegas that's happening in a few days, it seems like. So all these guys are, I guess, presumably in and around the area. And so they could be there to potentially wrestle. But why would this guy be at some random truck stop unless he was a trucker? So I don't understand already this whole world of, like, again, this kid's got a dad who's never been around for 10 years. And then apparently got a mom, and she's in some mystery surgery. And then they're going to drive apparently around maybe 2-3 days. And then there's a mystery arm wrestling league that's happening right now.
Is this how you qualify? I'm not really sure. Anyways,
What is this?
they start to have, like they said, they're setting up for this fight, this arm wrestling match, and yeah, the people around are insane. Like the gentlemen in this room, in this truck stop, they remind me of the villains from Mad Max, like the Road Warrior movies. Like, they're just insane. They're like, yeah, get him, yeah,
kick his ass,
just like absolute. They're just insane, over the top for arm wrestling. And like, granted, I'm not into arm wrestling, so it's not something I'd be fanatical over, anyways. But these people are surprisingly like into it. They all look like they just did a lot of cocaine and are really excited to see an arm wrestling fight. And he thinks, he doesn't even give it a second thought about, his kid just sitting there. He just leaves his kid at the bar, like the ordering part there, in front of the waitress, and he's like, "All right, got to go to work. See you in a minute."
Yeah, this guy just bets him $1,000. Like, I heard you're the toughest guy out there. I got $1,000 says I can rip your arm off. And then he's like, all right, let's go do this. You just leave a kid in a place where he could probably just get hepatitis sitting on a seat in this rusty old truck stop, and you're gonna go arm wrestle some rando. And you're gonna leave your kid that you've just abandoned for 10 years.
And you're trying to convince him that you're just as much of an intellectual and sophisticated as him. And you're just like, yeah, sorry, gotta go arm wrestle. And so he beats him, and everyone's disappointed. He gets his money, and this one really tough guy comes over. I'll just call him the Bull. He's this super roided up guy. He's huge. He's massive. He's like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. And he's like, all right, Hawk, let's do this now. I don't want to wait until Las Vegas. Which I'm not really, I don't understand how that works. Like, I don't feel like there's any officials around here at all. So like, I don't know, but He's like, Sylvester Stallone's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I've got my kid with me and I'm going to go to Las Vegas. Got some stuff to do. Yeah, and then this leads us into a montage of them like practicing arm wrestling. But they're the way they practice arm wrestling is kind of hilarious. So they're like holding on to like the grill of the truck, the front of the truck, and just like pulling themselves back. Like, I'm sure that's probably an exercise that maybe some people do, but I've never seen people do this. But I'm not an arm wrestler, so what do I know? I guess I don't know.
This weird, sexy music that is going on during this montage that he is just like stretching with his kid and practicing arm wrestling and stuff. It's a little weird. Like, it's like this weird Steve Vai kind of like soft, sensual music for the 80s that you would hear while he's just like doing yoga and Tai Chi with his kid and like stretching.
Yeah, this is a love song. This is a romantic song.
It's weird. It's really weird. It's really funny though. I think this whole scene is hilarious. It's amazing. But I guess this is what I thought. I was like, is this what he does on the road? Is this how Stallone gets into like Stallone shape on the road? He just eats ham sandwiches out of his truck and then stretches and does push-ups when he's in the morning, I guess.
So now they're driving, and he's showing him how to use this other piece of exercise equipment that he's got rigged up in his truck, which it's basically this like something that resembles like a pole horn, like a blowhorn.
He's got a lateral pull-down machine.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, it's just a lateral pull-down machine.
In his truck for just his right arm, okay? And he's sitting in this truck just going, all right, it's just like this. You just go down and it's over the top.
Over the top. You go down. You pull it, you go down. And when you do that, you can build a muscle, and then you go in your hands, and you can do that with somebody else, and you can transfer that over. Put their hands out, and you win arm wrestling.
This shot blew my mind. It was like, this was like another like Ernest P. Worrell like contraption this guy has in his truck just rigged up. You're like, what the hell is this? How do you have this? Because you got to go to like weigh stations and stuff, and I'm sure people have to inspect your truck, and I don't think they're gonna just like have like a little small gym in your truck while you're doing this, man. Like, what's going on here?
He's serious. He's a serious competitor, and this is how he exercises. You know, even though they're bonding a little bit, Mike Hawk here says that he's still not impressed with his father. He still thinks he's not much of an intellectual. And his father, Sylvester Stallone here, finally has had enough. And he's like, you know what? Fine. And he pulls the truck over and he gets out and he's like, you're going to drive now. You think everything's so easy? You can drive. And the kid makes a good point. He says, that's not really a fair test if you haven't given me the knowledge of anything first. And he's like, no, you can do it. You're smart. You're smarter than me. You can do it. So he lets this kid go on this highway with this truck, this tractor trailer with a giant trailer on the back, like a huge load. And he's like, I don't know how cars work because I don't drive, but it seems like he's not using the clutch or something right, because it's basically just stopping like it just keeps on bucking, I guess, the truck. So he's not doing it right. And but he actually starts to get the hang of it. So now this kid's driving a semi down the road, and it's like, what? This father. we're only like 20 minutes into this movie, and this father already is like just showing him like the worst things that you could probably do. You shouldn't ever let your kid drive a car. Like, I'm really on a road. If you got your piece of property and you're in the car with him and it's just for funsies or something, even that sounds really, really weird to me. But like, why you would ever put like a 13-year-old behind? He can't even see. I don't even think he could see over like the steering wheel. I don't even understand how he could get his legs down to the gas pedals. But anyways, this is just one of his many life lessons here that that Sylvester Stallone is going to give to him, because of all the things that he's missed out over the past decade. He's going to catch up quick.
Yeah, this seems like another classic bad dad move. Like, you're like, all right, kid, it's okay. You can drive the car. Like, what is he doing here? I thought this was really funny too, especially because this kid's like, as he's driving down the road, he's like, I'm doing it. This is amazing. And I thought, just back to a few minutes before, how he was ripping on his dad, being like, basically, you're an idiot and a mouth breather if you drive a truck. And I just thought about how like he'd be like looking at it, like if I was Stallone, I'd be looking at him being like, hey, look at this, son. If you apply yourself one day, you could be a truck driver too.
So Sylvester Stallone has another lesson for his son, because Mikey has expressed to him that he just doesn't feel as strong as what his father does physically. And his father's like, you can't feel that way about yourself. You gotta take advantage of things yourself. You gotta take the first step. don't wait for life to meet you halfway. Life won't meet you halfway. That's one of the lines he says. Life won't meet you halfway. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna do something. So he takes stops here at like an arcade, and there's a bunch of kids playing around, and there's one kid in particular who looks like, I guess he might be rough or something, because he's kind of got like no shirt, but he has like a raggedy vest on, and he wears motorcycle gloves, like fingerless gloves. Why, I don't know, because he's tough, and that was a thing in the 80s. When you're tough, you wear gloves. So anyways, Sylvester Stallone walks up and he's like, hey, you want to fight my kid? And like, because he wants to have an arm wrestle. He's like, yeah, you want to fight my kid? We'll have an arm wrestling match. And this kid, who is probably like, he looks like he's older than Mikey. He's like, yeah, I can probably like kill him, sure. And Sylvester Stallone's like, all right, fine, I'll put $100 on it or something. I don't know, maybe $20 or something. But he makes a bet with him that he can't beat his son. And his son has no interest in doing this, but he really pushes him and makes him get into an arm wrestling fight.
Yeah, just as any good supportive dad does. He's just like, you can go do it. Go beat that kid up. It's all right. You drove a truck.
Yeah, and there's a moment where it's actually kind of sad. Like when he's trying to convince him, his son's like crying. He's like, I don't want to do it. And he's like, come on, you can do it. And he does. He makes him do it, and he turns his hat backwards. And then this kid suddenly got like superpowers, and he's like just super strong and beats the other kid.
Think about this. On paper, this guy like peer pressured his son to go fight another kid.
So his son won, and he's learned the lesson, I guess, that if you believe in yourself, then you can kind of just go and challenge random people to an arm wrestling match and likely win. And Mikey won. So he's super pumped, and he's thinking, maybe I'll call my mom and talk to her about it. And he does. He calls his mom, and she seems to be happy. And then Sylvester Stallone's like, hey, let me talk to your mom for a second. Hey, go do something. And the kid leaves. And he goes outside. So it's Sylvester Stallone. You can see Sylvester Stallone standing in front of the window that you can see outside in front of this arcade. And he's on the phone with his mom. He's got his back turned to his son. And his son's just like, I don't know, looks like he's playing with stuff on the ground or something. And then, like, out of nowhere, these adults just pick him up and try to kidnap him. Like, what? Why did this happen? Paul, you're going to have to explain this one to me, because I don't even... This scene is completely over my head. I don't understand why this happened, who these people are.
Sylvester Stallone's on the phone with his I guess, abandoned, sick wife. And he's talking to her on the phone. Yeah, it's okay. We're all doing good. We're trucking, and I let him drive, and I've got him to force fight a kid. It's great. And so, there's little Mike. He's out there kind of strutting his stuff going, yeah, I'm the best. I'm the champ. And so people come out of nowhere, just like you said. They grab him, throw him in a truck. Sylvester Stallone goes outside, sees this happening. There's another guy that heads him off. Stallone fights this guy, and all of a sudden, we're now in a car chase. So what happens here, Tim, in this whole thing, right, is at the end of this, Stallone kind of heads the guy off in this truck, and he gets Mikey out of the truck, and everyone runs away. And Stallone yells at these guys. And so what happened here is Mr. Cutler, Robert Lozier, sent out his goons. Kind of almost like in Roadhouse. It seems like he's got a bunch of henchmen that go out and kind of just mess with like, not Patrick Swayze, but Stallone in this movie is kind of what I think is happening.
And that guy is Sylvester Stallone's father-in-law. He does not approve of him being in his son's life or his daughter's life at all. And he's a very wealthy man. And yeah, okay, so I get it. So he sent people out to kidnap his grandson. This guy is rich beyond most people's imagination, and he sent goons, 3 adult goons, in a pickup truck that could. I don't know where they plan on even putting this kid, and he sent these goons to go and kidnap his son. As opposed, you know what's ironic, Paul, is that he probably could have just called the cops, and the cops would find him arm wrestling all these like crazy people in a bar, and they probably like, yeah, you're right. Maybe you should go back with your grandfather.
Not even that. He also put his grandson's life in danger by doing that too, right? Did you see this whole chase that happens here?
They went on a high speed chase, and he chased him in his semi truck, like in his huge truck.
Yeah, and he ran into the truck too. Like the two trucks collided, smashed into each other, into another truck Like Stallone headed off a truck into another truck, basically, folks, is what's happening here. Okay.
They finally concluded their trip. Sylvester Stallone has done what he promised his ex-wife and brought his son to the hospital. Like, the trip is over. His son is finally there to see his mom after the surgery. And Sylvester Stallone goes to the receptionist desk and is like, hey, I'm here to see so-and-so. And the nurse is like, you're going to have to talk to a doctor. And he's like, what? What do you mean talk to a doctor? So a doctor comes over and he's like, I'm sorry, but she died during surgery yesterday. It's like, what? What was the surgery? Do they even say what the surgery is, Paul?
So, yeah, you're right, Tim. This whole thing it was just like a complete gut punch.
Right. By the way, the kid is just standing there right behind him.
To the kid, Mike, to us, the viewers, this whole thing is a complete shock. Again, so just to recap, apparently this kid has a mom. Okay, had a mom up until this point. And we didn't really know anything about her, and she had some sort of mystery surgery going on in this. And then, again, the only reason you know that is because Stallone mumbles that before he gets into his dirty truck with no books, okay? Then you get to the hospital, and then he goes up there and he's like, yeah, she's here for heart surgery. So she was there for heart surgery, folks. If you didn't understand that, yeah, that's what that is. And I didn't know that either. It took me like 4 watches of this movie to actually get that.
Okay. Well, she's gone. I barely knew her.
It's like Dr. Nick Riviera or something coming out being like, hi, everybody, your wife is dead.
Yeah, so this kid now Mikey is really upset. He's really, really, really upset with Sylvester Stallone because, and he's kind of right. He's like, you made me miss my last moments with my mother to drive around in your stupid truck. And, he's kind of right. He took him to some arm wrestling fights and made him fight another person in arm wrestling when he could have been with his mother. Now, with that said, we don't know exactly what went wrong with the surgery. Maybe this was just a sudden death and it wasn't supposed to happen, right? So I'll give them the benefit of a doubt.
Well, I feel like, the mom also requested that, Sylvester Stallone go out on the road too. So I feel like she wanted them to bond. But yeah, it is weird that if she thought, because, again, we weren't privy to any of this information at the start of this about her apparently being on death's bed, it seemed like, and going in for some heart surgery and all this kind of stuff. Why would she not be like, okay, could you just maybe if she's concerned about her son spending quality time with him, why don't you both come over with her and sit by the deathbed and be like, listen, take care of my son, Instead, she just go on this truck journey and then kind of show up and I'll hang on.
After the fallout from the drama at the hospital, we go to the funeral, and that's just as sad as you'd expect any funeral to be. And then after that, we see that Mikey is now living with his grandfather. And Sylvester Stallone's not done trying to be a father. He really wants some redemption here, and he's on quite the roll already. So he goes to his father-in-law's home, a giant mansion, a gated property, and he goes up to the gate, and the security guards, by the way, Terry Funk, here's a connection. He was in Roadhouse, and he's a professional wrestler, and he is also in this movie. He is a guard, one of his father-in-law's guards. And he's like, no, you're not coming in. They told you to stay away. They never want to see you again. Leave it alone. Get in your truck and go. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. So then he goes in reverse with his truck, and he proceeds to ram through the gate, going full speed on the property, does not stop, and runs his semi-tractor trailer truck right into the front door of this mansion. Smashes the entranceway and gets out all tough like, hey, you can't keep me out of the house. And his father's like, he's my boy. Leave him alone. We don't want your kind around here. And I don't blame him. Again, why doesn't Sylvester Stallone just call the cops? He's your son. Your wife just died. You can obviously, there's a legit way to get custody of your kids. Why in the world would you drive your truck, your vehicle into his house? What do you expect? His father was going to come down the stairs and be like, whoa, you just drove the truck into my house. All right, take the kid, leave.
Well, I feel like Stallone is a man of action, right? He's just not going to stand by. Plus, I mean, he's got to go to an arm wrestling match soon, so he's got to take his kid with him, right? His kid's probably got to drive him there anyways. That's what he figures. I don't really know what Stallone's doing, man. He's just a wild man in this movie, realistically. But it doesn't seem like him and Robert Lozier, they don't really, they don't get along. So he's probably just like, he just hated his father-in-law anyway. He's like, screw this guy, I'm going to ruin his lawn.
Hey, you can't try to close the door on me. I'll drive my car through your door.
It's just going through the front door.
So, anyways, after that, he's arrested by the police officers because that's what happens when you drive a vehicle into someone's house. So he is at the cop station.
So while Stallone's in this holding cell here, looks like I guess I don't know if I guess he's in jail or something. And obviously he's caused a lot of damage to this mansion, right? Like a ton of damage to this place. So it's like, how are you gonna pay for this? You're just kind of hanging on already right now, just doing trucking jobs and arm wrestling people at sketchy places. But I mean, he also made $1,000 in that one arm wrestling match. So, regardless, this guy Robert Lozier's lawyer comes to him and says, "Hey, here's the deal. If you leave the state, we will not press charges on you, okay? And we'll just leave you alone. But you have to just let go of Michael and you can't see him." And Stallone at first says, "No, I'm not into that. I don't want to do that." He goes, "No, I want to see my kid." So Stallone's like, "Oh, let me see what Mike says." So Mike comes in to the other side of this holding cell, whatever, prison talkie thing, and sits down, and Stallone says, "Well, what do you want to do?" And this is where I was confused, Tim. Maybe you can explain this to me. Because it sounds like, I mean, Mike says, like, "You know what, Dad, like, see you later. Like, I'm just going to let you go and do your own thing." And do you think that's because he wants, like, his dad to go and arm wrestle and he thinks he's got a chance to win and go over the top? Or is it because, like, he just doesn't like his dad?
I think it could be a combination of both. I think that if I was 13 years old and I just witnessed my estranged father run a semi-tractor trailer truck into my grandfather's front door, I might be like, you know what? I've been doing pretty good in school here. I got a good life. I got a mansion here. Maybe I don't need to get in that truck and watch my dad arm wrestle. So, maybe, yeah, maybe, it's not like these guys, like you said, they didn't have any blankets or pillows or really anything. He's tearing up his jacket and stuff. I think that the grass does look greener. Green, like, it looks plenty green where he's at, really. Instead of going with Sylvester Stallone, the cops are involved. He seemed like he was having a pretty good, stable, organized life until Sylvester Stallone showed up.
Wait, you're telling me you don't want to sleep in a rusty truck and arm wrestle people for money at dive bars?
No, not really.
It's amazing, though. Like, what is going on in this movie? And he's just like, "Why don't you just join me in the life here, Mike? It's great, I understand, like, he's a dad trying to provide for his kid here, I think trucking is important. I'm not looking down on trucking or anything like that, but just, this whole situation in this movie is ridiculous here. But that's it, They let Sylvester Stallone go. They're not going to press any charges, and he is going to head off now to Vegas to go and try to arm wrestle.
So we get a little bit of a montage now where Sylvester Stallone is seen selling his truck so that he can buy his way into the arm wrestling competition, the championship in Las Vegas. And also, we see that his son, at home at his grandfather's place, has found letters that his mom has been keeping from him, that his father's been sending him through all these years. And his mom kept them from his son. So Mikey never knew that Sylvester Stallone is actually trying to get in contact with him. And now Mikey is having second thoughts, and maybe he wants to be with his father. So, he does what every kid would do in that situation. He climbs out of the window in broad daylight and steals one of his grandfather's Jeeps. And drives to Las Vegas. Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, are they already in Las Vegas? I don't know.
No, so he's in California, okay? So here, this is the whole crazy part of what happens here with this whole montage that we just kind of gloss over. There's a lot of weird things that happen in this montage. So you're right. I thought it was hilarious. First of all, he sells his truck, okay? The man sells his truck, and I understand it's a desperation move. And it's a Hail Mary, and he's going for it, right? And I get that. When he's at the truck place, I love this part. He goes, because he's got a hawk on the front of his truck, folks. His company is called Hawk Hauling. It's on the side of the truck. So, and to me, it's so weird because he's talking to a guy about selling the truck, and the guy's like, I'll give you $7,000. He's like, all right. And he's like, I want to take the hawk, though. And the guy's like, all right. So there's like a whole scene. There's like a whole like 30 seconds dedicated to him like walking up to this thing and trying to take the hawk off the front of his truck. And it's like, why didn't you just do that
Before you sell it? Yeah.
Yeah, if I was that guy, I would have been like, no, you know what? I'm taking $1,500 off the top right now. I like that hawk. It's a selling feature to this thing. I would have just screwed with them. So another crazy part of this whole montage is just that you're right. Little Mike Hawk here finds these letters that Stallone's been writing to him over the years. And I guess, I don't know why, instead of like not sending it to military academy, he just sent it to his wife, it seems like. And he never followed up with his wife. Been like, did Mike get the letters at all? Like, he never did that. He's like, I sent him in crayon. I called it my favorite color. Like, he never did any of that stuff. He just kind of sent the letters and that was it. And so Mike finds these letters, and you're right. Mike gets upset now. It looks like he's kind of changed his mind. He's going, no, screw this. I'm heading out to Vegas. Apparently he's just, I don't know how this little child has money or any idea of how to do any of what he does here. But this is incredible what happens now. So you're right. He like gets a bag, jumps out of like the second story of this mansion, okay? Jumps over a fence, gets into a garage, steals a car, okay? Then he drives to the airport. Then this kid, he just throws the keys to a valet, gets on a plane now. Somehow gets on a plane. This kid is able to board a plane. I understand this is 1987. People are doing cocaine. You can fly for like $40 places. Stuff like this is happening in the world. You know, like all this stuff, 9/11 hasn't happened. I understand. There's a lot of things going on in the world, right? But like this kid being like 13 years old gets on a plane and he flies to Las Vegas from California, okay? He gets there. And while this all happens, you now see that Robert Lozier and his family have like kind of found out about this. So him and the goons take a private jet and they fly out. In and amongst this whole montage here of this kid catching a flight and Robert Lozier and his gang also catching a flight to Vegas and chasing this kid around the airport, Sylvester Stallone goes in to the casino here before he actually goes in and registers for this match. And he goes to put down a wager on himself, okay? And he asks this guy, what is the odds on Lincoln Hawk? And the guy says it's 20-1. This is again where I had a question, like 1,000 questions, because this is just some random truck driver guy. And these other people apparently are in leagues and stuff, and he just seems like some guy who's out of nowhere. And we're going to find out in a second, like, he goes after this to then, like, weigh in and, like, register for the match. So they would have had some sort of stats on him before to get odds, right?
It sounds like he just has a reputation, I guess. That's all I can really figure out. Like, people seem to just know him. Like, similar to Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. He was just internationally known or nationally known as the baddest bouncer in the United States. And Sylvester Stallone is the toughest arm wrestling trucker in the States. That's my guess. I don't know.
But then he never arm wrestled in a league. He just arm wrestled people at dirty little truck stops. That's all he's ever done, and that's it. But if he's so good, why doesn't he wrestle people in leagues then and get money?
Well, I guess that's what he's doing now, though, right?
This one time, the one time he's going to do this, and apparently he's some elite arm wrestler.
But maybe this is the only time that people can make money. I have no idea. Like I said, I wasn't even sure that he was actually a real truck driver. I thought he was kind of using that as a cover just to be a professional arm wrestler.
What's going to happen going forward in this whole arm wrestling tournament that's going to happen is they keep telling you it's a double elimination match. So apparently you have to lose twice and then you're out. For whatever reason, they could have just told you that at the start when Sylvester Stallone was just registering him, like, hey man, just letting you know, if you lose 2 matches, you're out. And then you could just have that in your head. And I feel like there would have been anyways. But there's an announcer who just keeps talking throughout this whole thing while there's matches going on. And he keeps, for whatever reason, he has to tell you every 30 seconds, there's a double elimination match, folks. It's a double elimination.
Double elimination. Double elimination.
it's a double elimination. That means 2 losses, 2. That's a double. That's a loss, 2 losses.
That's leading up to his first loss. Clearly, it just seems like he's going to blow through everybody because he is. He's been winning against everybody, no question, until he just had his first loss. And they showed it in a ridiculous amount of slow motion. I'm not sure why. It's arm wrestling. It's arm wrestling. You don't need to see a loss in slow motion. And this lasted like almost a full minute. But he seems to have like injured his elbow or something. They don't say what the injury is, but he has his first loss. So now he's on the ropes, so to speak.
That's right. Sly is completely crestfallen now. He's just broken. He's just pretty distressed because, he's on the ropes here, it seems like. I mean, he's in the finals right now, right? There's like only like 4 guys left in this whole thing. So he's gotten that far. And I think the big thing that he really wants is he just wants to win this truck because he wants to start his own business and he wants to be out there a free man doing his thing. So we're down to the last few fighters here at this arm wrestling competition. And they're going to kind of introduce you to a few of these guys in this, just so you kind of know who they are, at least just who's, Sylvester Stallone's going to be arm wrestling some of these guys. They got to set up, there's a little bit of tension they need to build up here, right? So there's one guy that we need to talk about here. They call this man the Canadian champion, okay? So I guess maybe he's not Canadian, but he is the Canadian champion, and I just seem like he is. When they interview this guy, I just want you to pay specific attention to his accent. Or maybe potentially lack of an accent, folks.
I should be able to blow them away real easy. There's a lot more technique involved, and you can't beat experience.
So, Tim, you and I are Canadian.
We sure are, pal.
I think we're kind of uniquely qualified to maybe answer this question. In your expert opinion, do you think this man sounds like a Canadian?
He does not sound like a Canadian.
At no point did this man say sorry, or a boat. There's no way. Okay, I guess they're just like, whatever. You're Canadian. That's kind of what Canadians sound like. New York. You sound like the Bronx, right? You sound like you're from Queens or something. That's good.
No, not even close.
Hey, as ridiculous that is, okay. All these and in amongst those other interviews, I still love Sylvester Stallone's in this. Okay, I mean he's the star of this movie. This guy is supposed to be like a bona fide actor. I mean he's a legit action star for sure, but dialogue. I mean. When we play this clip here, folks, you're going to hear Sylvester Stallone's interview as an arm wrestler. Is he a disinterested trucker, or is this just really unique acting? You decide.
To tell you the truth, the truck is the most important thing for me. I don't really, it doesn't matter if I become the champion or anything, but that's not the most important. I need this truck.
He needs that truck, man. He doesn't care about being a champion. I think it's just to show how he's not in it for the notoriety. I think is what that's trying to. I mean, the dialogue is very poor. Yes, very, very poor lines. However, I think that they're trying to emphasize that he is just a working man. This money, this notoriety of being a champion doesn't matter. He just wants the truck.
I guess so. To me, this was just another incident of like Stallone looking like he's high in this movie. He's just like, I like trucks. I'm just gonna arm wrestle because I want the truck and
yeah. So the father-in-law is also at this giant fight. We're in a big arena now, by the way. Like this is a high production thing. This is like the equivalent to what you'd see in a UFC fight. Only there's like a bunch of arm wrestling matches.
This is American Gladiators level production, okay, folks?
So I think his father-in-law saw this because out of nowhere, Terry Funk, his bodyguard, comes and gets comes and gets Sylvester Stallone, and tells him that your father-in-law wants to have a meeting with you. So he goes up to the top of the building, and his father-in-law is basically like, "Hey, I got another offer for you. Look out there. There's a truck. It's the top of the line truck. It's the best truck you can get, and I've got a check for $500,000 that you can have. Please just go. Don't come around your son anymore. Please just take the money, take your truck, and do your thing." He declines the offer, and I'm not sure why, because he just got done finished saying that having a truck is really the only thing to this. So I don't understand why he didn't take this offer, but I guess it's because he still wants to have a chance with his son.
He's being a good dad.
Yeah, to be a good dad. It's a really odd set of priorities that this guy has. It's like he wants to be a best father, but he's still like intent on selling his truck and going through this arm wrestling championship just to get a new truck. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
But, it doesn't matter because Stallone now, he's pretty determined. And he goes downstairs and he's going to go face this guy, Mad Dog Madison. And this guy, Mad Dog Madison, who looks like, I guess, like a huge lumberjack kind of military dude, pulls out, I guess, like a gallon of motor oil, okay, and starts chugging it in his mouth before the match, throws it away, and then him and Stallone start arm wrestling each other. It's amazing.
It's so weird. I don't understand. Like, I have no experience or exposure into the arm wrestling world. But these guys, their trash talk is like above the trash talking and stuff of like, and like behaviors of like the UFC competitors that you see, like trash talking each other. They're like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to rip your arms out and give you a heart attack and you'll be dead. There'll be nothing left of you. And like, calm down. You're just seeing whose arm is stronger. Like, you're not. This isn't a true test of strength. Like, it's a test of strength in your arm. But like, as far as like killing and ruining the other person's life and stuff, it's like, come on, it's an arm wrestling competition. Who are you trying to kid here?
That's what happens here. Stallone is in this match with this motor oil chugger, and it looks like he's kind of on the ropes here, and he's making all these crazy faces and stuff, and he's getting really intense, and he's sweating really heavy. And Stallone's like, "This is it. I gotta go over the top." And he does this move. This is the over the top move, folks, where I guess it's if you're in an arm wrestling match with somebody, it just seems like he just takes his fingers and kind of, I guess, puts them over top of his fingers a little more than other people's fingers.
Yeah, to try and describe this a little bit more accurately, basically your hands are locked, like your fingers intertwined when you're in an arm wrestling match. And he seems like he has this move where he untangles his fingers and kind of puts them over top of the other guys, so he has an advantage, which I have no exposure into the arm wrestling world, but I feel like that's cheating. Like, you're supposed to, don't they, like, and we're going to see here in a little bit at the, we'll get to it. But like, I think it's important that your hands are clasped and your fingers are intertwined. Like, I don't think you're allowed to just like slip your fingers out and start manipulating the grasp.
That's weird. Yeah, because you think about it. What if the other guy tried to do that too? Then you're both getting this weird little fishy hand kind of swivel fight.
What kind of competition are we having now? Who's like are we doing like basically like a thumb war kind of thing?
It's a hand smother contest. It's not really arm wrestling.
Yeah, it's peculiar.
You're right. He might be cheating there. I never thought about it that way. That's a whole different way that you might be looking at this. That might just completely blow up this whole plot line. So let's stay on that there. But you're right. That's what happens. He cheats and he goes over the top. He swivels his fingers over top of the other guy's hands, and I guess that's it. He just slams him down real quick. Just wins the match. And we're gonna see here through another little montage that Stallone is just kind of kicking some ass now, and he's just slamming other people down, winning some matches, and he's getting all the way to the end. The final guy, the big brick house, this fridge-looking dude named Bull.
Yeah, the same guy we saw earlier in the diner at the very beginning of the movie when he first stopped off with his son.
Yeah, which is just like, I guess it's good that it got to this point here now, obviously because they wrote that in the movie, but like in real life, you're right. What was the point of the fight in the restaurant other than just some bragging rights or something? Because this is the real fight.
I have no idea. Yeah, because it's a real arm wrestling fight. And this guy, I know I mentioned it earlier. He looks like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. This guy is massive. In reality, there is absolutely no chance that Sylvester Stallone is beating this guy. Like, no chance at all.
I don't see it, no. He would probably snap his arm off and just crush it through the floor.
So they start off, and within a few moments, Sylvester Stallone seems like he's getting strained, and he slips his fingers out, and it's kind of like, I think it's, so that start was kind of like null and void. And they're like, okay, we're going to have to wrap this up. We're going to have to wrap these leather straps around your hands to keep you together. Because I feel like that would be an automatic disqualification in most arm wrestling circles. But anyways, it's not. So they wrap it up with leather. Their hands are now locked together. And the guy uses his hand to punch, basically like, hey, don't punch yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Sylvester Stallone in the face with his own hand. And again, to me, I would feel like that's probably grounds for disqualification, but I guess not.
It seems like a greasy move.
Yeah, totally greasy move, right? I mean, it's arm wrestling. You're not punching each other in the face. They kind of make this last a really long time, but, obviously Sylvester Stallone wins. He uses over-the-top move. His son is in the crowd. This 13-year-old boy in the middle of a casino in Las Vegas is cheering for his father to go over the top, do the move over the top. And Sylvester Stallone does it, and he wins.
He is the new world champion, and he wins a sweet truck and like 140 G's that he just won betting on himself, literally.
And now his son wants to be with him. And I guess nobody seems to have any issues with that. And the movie just ends. Like, that's it. They hold the trophy up, and they're like, well, let's go on another drive. And the movie ends with an awesome song about Take Me Higher.
Take it higher.
That's a good song.
That's right. This is a wicked song. That's right. Over the top.
So let's talk about this.
All right. I love this movie. Just gonna come out and say this. I love this damn movie.
This movie was awesome. It's so bad, but it's like so entertaining. So much stuff happens over the course of 90 minutes. Like if this movie was 2 hours, I might have a different feeling about it. But there's not a wasted moment on the screen. Like they're showing you montages, there's car chases, there's heavy duty arm wrestling fights, there's kids fighting each other, kidnappings. There's deaths, tragedies. There's so much crammed into this movie just to make an arm wrestling story.
It's amazing. This whole thing is an amazing story. And I just love it too because this is another one of those movies where like to me it ticks all the right boxes. It's just like, well, it's a movie in the 80s, so it's already got those nostalgic feels to me. So that's already you've got a good head start. You're starting up their head. And then it's just like, it's a Stallone movie. So now you've already got another point. And it's like a feel-good movie. So now you got another point. And then the music on top of this with it. And I feel like the music selection in this and just the score, everything, I just thought it was all so good. And it just fits so perfect. It's just like, it's goofy, but it's the right amount of goofy in this movie. It's the right amount of cheese. It's amazing. This whole thing, I can't believe I've never ever seen this and heard about this in my entire life up until now. You know what I mean? And watching this now, it's like another one of those movies that I got sucked into this whole world, and I'm like in the over the top world, and I love it, and this is great. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, this is like I said, this is kind of instigating a little bit of a Sylvester Stallone kick for me. Like I can see the appeal of these, like I said, these 90-minute movies. If you can keep them short, then it's not so bad. You don't feel like you wasted your time as much because you can throw this movie on in the background. Every time you look at the screen, something's going on, and the story isn't that complicated, but they make it interesting enough.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, it's like you can kind of just gloss over and be like, okay, that just makes enough sense, I guess, right? Like this whole thing. This is such a fun movie, and watching this movie, there's like a couple realizations I had. I felt like was just like, Stallone apparently loves to give people pep talks about life.
That's every movie, man. That's everything. He has at least some kind of a little bit of a Florence and Nightingale kind of rescue speech or heart to heart in every single one of his movies.
He looks at somebody every movie. He's like, life is hard, okay, and you gotta try hard. And it's like it's a speech about that. That's in every movie now.
Don't wait for life to meet you halfway. You gotta make the trip. You gotta go.
I bet you if I look back at it, he probably gave one to Dolly Parton and Rhinestone.
Oh, I'm sure every one of them. Every one. He did in Rambo too. Of course, that was about the trials of a veteran from Vietnam and stuff, right? Oh yeah, this is just fun. I'm hoping that we can find another one similar to this because this is really good. This was a really good palate cleanser after the Happy Time Murders. I really enjoyed this movie.
I also had another realization too, Tim. It really seems that Sylvester Stallone likes ending movies with him either being in an arena with a bunch of people cheering for him or on a stage cheering for him. Because again, in Rhinestone, it ended with a bunch of people in a bar on stage cheering for him, hooting and hollering. Rocky, he's in the arena cheering for him.
In all fairness, how else could you end it? You're not going to end it with him. That's what it's all about. It's the movie tries to be about a father getting redemption, but this movie is about Sylvester Stallone being a championship arm wrestler.
It is definitely that. There is, I definitely think there is the theme of him, I guess, trying to apparently be a good dad and redeem himself,
He seems like he wants to be a good dad, but I don't think that he doesn't seem like he's actually really ready for it. It seems like he kind of just got thrusted into it. He's like, hey, I might as well try do it. I'll take my kid on the road and we'll go arm wrestling.
I don't understand. Yeah, and you know what's crazy too is like they really kind of don't. He never really explains why he left his son. You know what I mean? Because the kid actually asks. The kid asks him point blank. He's like, "Dad, why did you leave me?" He's like, I just made a mistake. He just kind of mumbles that a little bit.
Hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I made a mistake. I'm sorry, son.
Yeah, and the kid presses him a bit, and he's like, "Dad, that's not really an answer, right?" And he's like, "Well, I made a mistake, all right? Like, it's it. People make mistakes." And it's like, not even like I got scared, son, or like there was all these pressures, or my parents are like, something.
Yeah, I would have made up something at that point.
It's a great movie, and I like this a lot, and I think it's fantastic. But I feel like there's just certain things you could have improved, and I feel like you would have really just made it a lot more heartwarming if you'd have been like, you know what, kid, like I wasn't ready to be a dad, and I'm so sorry, and I screwed up, and I realized, like I need to make up for that, and I'm so sorry, and there's no way I can make up for that lost time, but yeah, I'm here now, and I want to be there.
There's another movie that I would compare this to called, is it called Real Steel? The one with Hugh Jackman, where he's fighting like mech robots, maybe not mech robots, but the robots basically, robot fights. And that movie does it right. That movie is actually like really good and heartwarming. It's basically the same idea. I don't think that he's a trucker, but he's a robot. He fights robots. He builds robots and they fight to the death.
They were like, they watched over the top and they're like, let's just get Hugh Jackman and some mech warriors. That's it.
And that movie is significantly better than this. Now, with that said, I still enjoyed this a lot, so I don't know if I would.
This is really good.
Yeah, no, this like I said, this is a palate cleanser. This was a treat. This was just nonsensical, silly fun.
You're absolutely right, man. And just as we're closing in on 2 years here, this is just really, it's just a great, fun way to kind of bring it back into the end of the year here, man. Because we've had a couple of bumpy rides this year too. Definitely, I think I've put us to the ringer a few times with some of these picks, but this was a good one. Really enjoyed this, and you're right. I think we need to be on the lookout for more Sylvester Stallone kind of movies like this. These are feel-good movies that are just like, oh.
If anybody would like to let us know of what Sylvester Stallone movie you would like to see us do, by all means, let us know. Yeah.
If you want to hear more bad impressions of Sylvester Stallone, please let us know. And let us know what movie you want us to do, because we're always looking for them, folks. And we appreciate, like taking your time out of the day and just listening and give us your feedback. So we appreciate it. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. I think that's it for this one. What do you think, Tim?
I think that's it. I think my hands are sore.
All right, so that's it for us in this one. Again, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. Please like, subscribe, share, leave us a review. We appreciate it. It always helps with everything. We're headed out on this one, and we're going to let Mike Hawk take you out.
Are you still dealing drugs, sir?